Woo! What's up, everybody? It's good to say hello. This is the week 14 podcast, which is crazy. Guys, we're in mid-June. We have 2 weeks left of June, and then we're into July. And every day, each of you is getting a little bit better. Every day, you're taking steps forward. Every day, you're pushing towards your ultimate goal of having a successful summer, of becoming the best version of yourself, of doing something hard and proving to yourself that you can, of earning an incredible income, lots of great things. I'm really proud of each of you. I talk about this all the week, every single week. Forgive me. It's hard to do hard things alone. It's easy to do hard things together. We're in this together. We're pushing together. We're working hard together. Each of us is developing, is becoming a little bit better. And buy into that. Lean into that. Lean into the team. Lean into the culture. Lean into the group. Let's continue to get better. We had an awesome week last week. We had a much better week last week than we did the week before. And so we are trending up, 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 and away, my friends. I've got some great stuff on the ticket for the podcast tonight. I'm going to give some shout outs. I'm going to talk some real estate. Did a little bit of that last week. Going to talk about team leading a little bit, what the future looks like. Going to give some advice for the next couple weeks. So, with all that said, let's jump into it and let us share some shout outs. Now, on the season, and I started doing these downline shout outs on the season. The Mark Wilmore downline, the Champions downline. They've had 201 reps with the service, and they're sitting at $7.464 million in service revenue. Now, this was Sunday that I pulled this data, and so as of today, they're for sure over 7.5 million, which is absolutely incredible. The Ryan Myers group is sitting at 5.5 million. The Andrew Myers group is sitting at 4.1 million. McKenna Hall's 2.6 million. She's nearly over the $3 million benchmark already, which is huge. Colby Markowski, the San Diego group, 2.2 million. Aiden Parent, 1.9 million. Chase Flynn, 1.55 million. Vlad at 1.15 million. John Martin at 1.1 million. Chan Mack at 1.1 million. Jeff Hatch crossed $1 million in service revenue yesterday. Congratulations, Jeff. Mitch Platt, 927,000. Guys, we have great leaders in this partnership, and it is so cool to see the growth. When I look at a lot of these reps and I look at where they were at last year, these guys are already passing or nearly passing what they did in all of 2024 combined. We still have 2.5 months of the regular season and a huge postseason push coming up. So many good things. Really proud of all of our leaders. On the rep department, Alex Moises is sitting at $382,000 in service revenue, $346,000 in active revenue. That is monstrous. Alex has done twice as much in active revenue already at this point in the summer as he did last year. Alex is in a great spot. Give this video a like if you think Alex Moises should buy my Lambo. He's been begging me to buy it, and I just might sell it to you, Alex. I've had a little change of heart because I have some big real estate deals I want to pull down. So maybe I will sell it to you. Jack. Jack is at 391,000. He will assuredly cross $400,000 in service revenue this week, which is insanity. That's more revenue than Jack did last summer. Congratulations, Jack. Adam Tillman, 234,000 in service revenue, 211,000 in active. Really squeaky clean. Jeff Hatch, 237, 196 active. John Martin, 213, 189 active. Malachi, 179, 167 active. Levi, 175, 155 active. Easton, 177, 152 active. Taylor Clark, 146, 139 active. Man, only 7 cancels. That's incredible, Taylor. Vlad, 147 serviced, 136 active, and that rounds out our top 10. In the rookies department, we've got Ryan at 131K. If Ryan has his average week this week, he will cross 150K in service revenue. He will qualify for the emerging team leader bonus. He's already punched his team leader trip. Ismael at 108 and 104 active, just squeaky clean. Only 4 cancels on the summer. That's insane. Adrian Nunez in Tulsa, 113 and 103. Mark Workman, 104 and 101. Presley, 108 and 98. Jackson Smythe, 105 and 92. Bo Compton, 189. Emmanuel, 95 and 88. And Preston Berkey, 80 and 78. Only 2 cancels there. Unbelievable. So much to be proud of. On the week last week, I had to give my San Diego team a bit of a hard time, and they responded really well. Their average last knock last week was before 8:30. It was at like 8:20, and they bumped that, okay? They crushed it this last week, and their average last knock was at 8:43 p.m. As a result, they serviced an additional $30,000 in contract value. Guys, that's no joke. Knock late to get the CVs. Knock late to maximize your revenue. Knock late to push yourself to get better, to maximize your potential to reach those benchmarks. I say this every week. If I had 2 hours to knock every week, it would be 7 to 9 p.m. That is the best time to knock. And all of you should be pushing really, really late. San Diego with 215,000, 90.3% sales to service ratio. Guys, I called this out as a partnership a few weeks ago. Our sales to service wasn't great. And I have to give each of you a giant pat on the back, a giant congratulations. As a partnership, we had the highest sales to service ratio last week. And that speaks a lot to each of you. It speaks to our integrity. It speaks to how hard we're pushing. It speaks to our transparency. So across the board, just a major congratulations. Columbus with 91.7. Chicago, I gave these guys a hard time because they were pulling us down. They were at 78%. They improved by 9 percentage points, up to 87%. Nice job, Chicago. St. Louis, 86. San Antonio, 91. Fort Lauderdale, 93%. Wow. Fort Lauderdale, 2, 88%. South Bend, 88%. Alexandria, guys, 98.7% sales to service ratio as a team. That's insane. San Diego, 84. Kansas City, 88. Lots to be proud of. Tulsa, you're getting my call out this week. You guys were at 73%. There's 16 reps knocking in Tulsa. You get that up, you're going to see your RPR improve. You're going to see your sales to service ratio just through the roof. Everybody's going to be happy. So that's my challenge for this week. Tulsa, get your sales to service ratio up. Everybody else, incredible work. Last knock as a partnership. Okay, we had this crown for a long time, and there's some of our teams that are really contributing. South Bend's at 924. Fort Worth is at 800, 846. Sorry, I said 800, 846. Kansas City's at 841. Kansas City 2 is at 850. I mean, there's a lot of you that are doing really good on last knock. And again, San Diego, they bumped their last knock like almost 25 minutes. And as a result, serviced like 30 additional accounts on the week, which is just crazy. Guys, I want to challenge each of your teams this week, okay? Hear me out. This is the only place I'm going to announce this incentive, so make sure you watch the freaking podcast. Any team that has an 8:45 or later last knock. So we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of our teams who would have earned it this last week. Any team that has an 8:45 p.m. or later last knock this week will win a little pizza night from yours truly. So there's my incentive. This is the only place I'm going to announce it. Push your teams, 8:45 p.m. last knock. That does not take into account Saturdays. Saturday is obviously a little bit of a different day. This is only Monday to Friday. So I need you guys pushing hard. Make that a big priority. 24 months, we're doing really good there. All of our teams except for two, Kansas City 2 and Nashville, are above 50%. So phenomenal job there to most of you. Kansas City and Nashville, let's get you guys up. But all things considered, lots to be proud of. Adam Tillman was our top rep last week with 26K. Alex Moises came in at number 2 with 26K. Jack with 24K. John Martin, 22K. Jackson Smythe, the rookie, with 22K. Freddie, another rookie, a newcomer to the leaderboard here with 21K. Mary Reed, 18K. That's a huge week for Mary. A pinnacle of consistency. Nice job, Mary. Grant Anderson. We love to see the Anderson bros showing up. Grant Anderson with a PR week this summer, 17K. Ryan, 17K. Dane Lapine, 16K. Jeff Hatch, 16K. Chan Mack, 16K. Lots to be proud of. Top rookies, Jackson Smythe, 22K. Freddie, 21K. Ryan, 17K. Mark Workman, 16K. Bo Compton, 15K. Ismail Torres, 14K. Tristan Clowers, 13K. Brody Stagner, 12K. Avery, 12K. Skylar Crowther, 12K. Mason Healy, 10K. Aiden Benford, 10K. Spencer Alice, 10K. Guys, wow, we're doing a lot right. When I look at these rookie stats, when I look at the effort that goes into stuff like this, there are so many of you working so hard, doing great things. When I look at the average first knock, I mean, guys, Ryan in San Diego had a 9:50 a.m. average first knock last week. He's an hour earlier than any of the other top rookies. Some of that obviously is due to drive time. They must have been knocking close to the apartments last week. Some of that is also just diligence and effort and getting out of the car immediately. 9:50 a.m. average first knock. Nice work, Ryan. 8:54 p.m. Freddie, the number 2 rookie. Freddie with a 9:28 p.m. average last knock. That is unbelievable effort. So much to be proud of. Love seeing you guys succeed. Love seeing you work hard. We've got a lot of stats to be absolutely pumped about. Okay, I had to go and get a little water. I'm out of drinks at the office, so if I seem a little bit slow today, that's why. I've been putting you guys onto some good drinks. I hope you tried the LMNT. That one especially is just dialed. The new tonic. If you guys tried those, let me know. I think I really like them. Okay, so I want to talk about the future of Aptiv. I want to talk about real estate. I want to give some advice for the next couple weeks. But first, I'm flying to Columbus tomorrow, or sorry, I'm flying to St. Louis tomorrow, and then I'll be in Columbus on Friday. So St. Louis reps, I'm really excited to see you. Columbus reps, I'm really excited to see you. After that, I have visited all of the teams one time. Guys, we have a lot of teams. We have like 20 teams, so I'm really proud of that. The San Diego team, in a way, I visited them twice because I went to Phoenix and then I went to San Diego. Next on my list, I need to visit Tulsa. They moved and they got a really short visit from me before, so I'd like to visit Tulsa next, and then I want to go back to Memphis, to Nashville, to San Diego again. So super excited to see everybody. I love making the rounds, and I'm really proud of all you guys. In the interim, while I'm not visiting your teams, I hope that you guys are dialed, locked in, training, working hard. But if you need anything, please holler. And I say that often, and I get a ton of calls every day. But that's what I'm here for, and I want to be that guy. And so if you're having a hard time, you need a pump up text. If you need someone to do a pitch critique or a video critique or whatever, send it my way. I've said this, to all of you when I visited your teams. If the pitch is like 15, 20 minutes long, it's really hard on me. But if you send me like a 2 to 3 minute snippet and you say, hey, here's where I lost this person. What advice would you give me? We can do some voice messages back and forth, and I would love to be a resource. I don't think I've missed any voice memo critiques over the last month. So seriously, I mean this. I'm saying this to 300 people, so this is a dangerous thing to do. But send me a couple voice memos, and I would love to give you guys some feedback. I really mean that. Love working with you guys, and I'm really excited to see the St. Louis team and really excited to see the Columbus team this week. Now, I want to talk about some real estate briefly. So I sent a message in the Pronto, and if you're not in the Pronto, get in the Pronto. We're in the middle of the freaking summer. About Owen Gams, okay? And I talked about this condo that Owen is under contract on. So here it is, guys. It's a one bed, one bath in Rexburg, Idaho. And it's nothing, crazy fancy, but it's a cute little place and definitely somewhere that would be comfortable to live. So Owen is doing a house hack. And so he's moving into this, apartment up here, and he's going to live there and he's going to rent out, I think space to one of his buddies, and they're going to kind of split the mortgage kind of thing. And Owen's going to end up putting like 10% down. So he's only going to put like $13,000 down on this place. And guys, the appraisal came back at $170,000, which is just unbelievable. And so some of you are like, well, what does that mean? I know that 170 minus 129 is $41,000, but what does that mean? Okay, that means that on Owen's personal net worth sheet, I keep a personal net worth sheet. Sometime I'll show you guys if you want. And I track the value of all my properties and I track, their worth. Theoretically, Owen's net worth is now $41,000 because of this. It's actually more than that because he's putting $13,000 down, but he has $41,000 in equity on this one property. He made a really good buy. And that is the beauty of real estate. You buy a property, and it usually doesn't happen this fast, but it always happens over time. The property goes up in value, and as a result, your net worth increases. And eventually, as an investor, you can borrow against that net worth using HELOCs, using cash out refinances. You can sell the property and 1031 exchange the money and get into something bigger. But that net worth goes up and up and up and increases, and you get to utilize that net worth to generate more cash flow, buy more properties. Like, it is a truly powerful, powerful tool. One of the best investments I've ever made was my cabin. Oh, I can't remember the address. Hold on, let me look this up. I'm gonna pause this briefly. Okay, I'm back. And let me share my screen. Okay, so one of the best buys I've ever made, and I have a few like this, but one of the best buys I've ever made is this cabin. It's at 4241 Grandview Road in Island Park. Some of the San Diego guys, ironically, actually stayed next door in their little retreat this winter. It's a sweet spot. There's a golf course in this neighborhood, and it's an incredible Airbnb. So I bought this cabin for $40,000 or $400,000. I'm sorry. I put 10% down. I did a vacation rental loan on it. So I put $40,000 down. You got to work hard. You got to save up your money. Put 40 grand down. Got a proof of the loan. If I sold this cabin now, the Zestimate says it's worth 667,000. I actually think I could get north of 700,000, maybe even 725. The Zestimate's not always right, especially in Idaho. But my net worth has increased $267,000 conservatively because of this cabin. Okay. I have what's called a HELOC, that stands for a home equity line of credit, and I can borrow against that $267,000 in equity and use that money to go and buy another property. And I'm actually doing just that thing this weekend. I'm closing on a fourplex on Friday, and I'm using all of the money from my HELOC on this Island Park cabin to buy this fourplex. This fourplex is going to cash flow about $2,000 a month. This Island Park cabin, it doesn't do very well in the winter, but during the summer it cash flows really well. And on an annual basis, I probably make 30 grand a year from cash flow from this cabin. And so this one cabin, my $40,000 investment, has now turned into $270,000 in equity and net worth, $2,000 a month in cash flow on the cabin, $2,000 a month in cash flow on this fourplex, and it has multiplied and snowballed. And guys, that is the beauty with was where, you go under contract property and the appraisal comes in way up. That doesn't always happen. Usually the appraisal comes in right at what you're buying it for. But in time, you look 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. And guys, most of you are okay. When you look 20 years down the road, when you're 40, that property is going to be worth way more than it is right now. More. Real estate's a long game, but if you put it the right way, these things snowball, they compound, they go up in value. You pay down the mortgage, the cash flow increases because rents go up, and it just gets better and better and better. And I want every single person in this partnership to have that experience. Okay, if you come out and you knock and you have a great summer with us, that's awesome. And you'll learn so much. The skill sets that you develop are valuable. The lessons you learn are incredible. The money that you make is so good. But if I can help you guys invest in real estate, it doesn't matter if you never do this job again. And if you go on and, maybe you chase down your passion of being an underwater basket weaver or whatever it is, and you don't have a high, income job in the future, you're going to be in a much better place because you invested in real estate now. Just by getting into a property in your 20s, you guys get ahead of the rat race. You get ahead, you get above your peers on net worth, on financial wellness, just by getting one property in your 20s. Imagine if you're like Aiden Parent and you get into 12. Imagine if you're like my brother Andrew and you get into a bunch and more, and then you buy a nice house. I mean, the guy's he's young. Like, it's unbelievable. Imagine if you're like Mike Ellis and you buy a fourplex after your first summer. Imagine if you're like John Martin and you buy a fourplex and then you invest in a sixplex with Mark after year 3. Like, the sky's the limit. These guys have already done so much. And if they're prudent, if they're smart, if they keep working hard, they can grow off that. They can build off it. They can compound from it. Okay, it continues going and going and going. I look at where I'm at now financially, okay? And I tell people this all the time, and hopefully this comes off the right way, and I mean it, and I share this because it means a lot, and I want to share it with each of you. I've made a ton of money at Aptiv. Like, over my career at Aptiv, I've been here 12 years. I've made a couple $1,000,000, and that's unbelievable. It's hard to think about, okay? Your average American makes $60,000 a year. It takes them, 30, 40 years to make a couple $1,000,000. I've done it in 12. So I've bought back, 20 plus years of my life, and it keeps getting better. Every year it keeps getting a little bit better, and it's crazy, okay? And I'm floored by that. But Aptiv has just given me the funds to then go and do something really special. So Aptiv's made me a ton of money, but what's made me wealthy is real estate. Real estate has given me the financial time and freedom and peace of mind to know that, I could walk away from Aptiv and be pretty good. And it's because I worked really hard for 12 years. And not every decision that I made was a home run. I made some bad ones along the ways. And I'll tell those stories sometime. I've done options trading and I lost 30 grand on options trading one time. I sold Bitcoin at the low and bought back at the high. And fortunately, I wrote it out, and I invested in a startup and I lost $60,000 on the startup. I bought a tiny home and by the skin of my teeth sold it for what I paid for it a year later, and it caused me a ton of stress. I've made some really bad investments over the years, but the investments in real estate almost always seem to work out. And I say almost always because there's 2 or 3 that I'm like, yeah, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't invest in that. That said, I'm still holding on to those. And I know that 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, it's going to pay off. Could there have been a better investment? For sure. But 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, there's still going to be good, solid investments. Guys, invest in real estate. It's the most powerful tool to each of you. A lot of you are sitting here going, well, yeah, I love that. I know it. I believe it. But how? Okay. How? So these podcasts, you can probably tell, are going to start being geared more and more and more that direction because I want you guys to find the deeper why over the next 2.5 months of the regular season. And I hope that a lot of you will choose to do postseason. A lot of you are getting messages from Demery or Ethan asking about your end date. I hope that a lot of you will choose to extend and work hard. All of that extra time in September goes towards your benchmarks, goes towards the bonuses, goes towards the team leader trip, the rent bonus, the ETLB. Okay, it all counts the same. And all of that revenue that you put on in September gets paid faster. And it's an awesome thing. And it's the best time to sell because a lot of the other knockers have gone home. The people have experienced the bugs. You sharpen your skill set. It's a powerful thing. So I hope that a lot of you will do that. But guys, the number one thing that you can do right now is work hard, push yourselves, earn the money. Okay? Owen wouldn't be able to buy this condo had he not saved up some money from the summer. Tanner Larson's under contract on a duplex. Tanner would not be able to buy that duplex had he not saved up some money from the summer. I mentioned Mike Ellis. Mike Ellis bought the fourplex last year. He had to do well doing this job to be able to buy that fourplex. Adam Tillman, okay, our top rep last week, top rookie last year, the GOAT. Adam closed on a sick and really good looking duplex with his wife right before they got married, right before he left for the summer. Actually, it may have been after he had knocked for a little bit. But it's awesome. Adam's building his net worth after 1 year, and it's a huge asset. No matter what Adam does in the future, he has that duplex, and eventually that duplex is going to pay for a great lifestyle for him. It just takes a few, and all of you have that possibility. Now, last week I hit on this point, and I'm going to bring it up again. You can have everything that you want in life, but you can't have it all right now. In order to invest in real estate, you have to do a few things. You have to sacrifice. You have to make sacrifices. You have to work harder right now than you want to work. You have to actually put on revenue. I had a conversation with the rep right before this. Shout out to Spencer. I hope you're listening to this. And Spencer was the top rep in San Diego South last week. And he was, we were kind of teasing him. He said, it's crazy. I found out that if I work hard, I'm actually pretty good at this job. It's like, yes, what a novel concept. The more hours you work, the better you do. The San Diego North team, okay, I shouted them out because they were our number one team last week. They crushed it. They knocked later as a team and they did better. Okay, I know a lot of you right now, a lot of you are like, man, this job is hard. Yes, it is. It's freaking hard. And that's okay. It's the sacrifice that you have to make good money. Then with that good money, the second sacrifice, in order to be able to get into real estate, in order to get ahead, you have to avoid blowing all that money, okay? A lot of you, you're going to want to go out and right away, you're going to want to buy all the shoes and all the merch and get yourself a new wardrobe and buy yourself a flashy new car. And some of you are going to go buy watches and some of you are going to sign up for a $10,000 trip and travel the world. And all these things are good. Okay, I like all those things myself. I'm a fan of shoes. I'm a fan of watches. I'm a fan of travel. I obviously love cars. But if you want to level up in real estate, you have to make some sacrifices. You have to be smart. You have to choose what it is that you really want. Okay, and I want each of you to build that wealth, build that nest egg, build that financial security so that you can have everything that you want out of life. You can have everything that you want. You just can't have it all right now. You got to make sacrifices. And again, I'm going to start talking more and more about real estate in a lot of these podcasts because that's where I want our culture to go. And I want you guys to find that big why over the next 2.5, 3.5 months of the summer. And I want you to work harder and I want you to push yourself more. And I want you to get ahead because I know how much it means. I know that the money you make right now is worth 10 times as much as the money that you'll make 10 years down the road. It's worth so much. So I'm begging each of you. I wish someone would have told me this my first summer. I fizzled out my first summer and I regretted it. The money that you make now is worth way more than any of the money that you'll make next year. It's worth way more than any of the money that you'll make 2 years down the road because you can utilize it so smart and over such a long period of time. So trust me, guys, make the sacrifice, work hard, buy in, okay? Be diligent. And I've talked about this principle on these podcasts before as well. Don't overestimate what can happen in, 1 month, 1 week, 1 day. Don't overestimate what happens in one short period of time. Okay? It's hard. It takes time. Change doesn't happen overnight. And also, don't underestimate what can happen in 2 months, in 3 months, in 5 months, in 2 years, in 10 years. Okay. If you continue to work that compounding effect, that snowball, it builds, it develops, it grows, you get better, everything improves. I never envisioned this life 10 years ago. Didn't know it was even possible, but I showed up every day. I talked to guys like I talked to guys like Mark Wilmore. We were talking about it earlier, in fact. I never imagined this was possible. I know Mark didn't either, but he showed up and he worked hard every single day. He answered phones every day. He recruited every day. He knocked every day. He put in effort. He put in time. He put in value for his people every day for a really long period. And because of that, not only did Mark get like ridiculously good at the job, but he also built other people who were ridiculously good at the job. That's what leadership is all about. That's what this job is all about. I talked about this a little bit last week, but I hope that every single one of you will come back and compound off the effort that you've already put in. Work hard a second year, work hard a third year, work hard a fourth year. A lot of you who recruited and your recruits, maybe some of them crushed it, but a lot of them certainly didn't. You're like, man, I got to throw in the towel. I'm not a recruiter. No, it takes time. My first year leading a team, I brought out 10 reps. Okay. You're like, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, it was awesome. Guess how many of those 10 reps came back? Two. Okay. Two of them came back. That means eight. We're like, oh, I'm not doing that again. But the second year, I brought out 18 reps. Okay. Two of them came back, and those two each recruited three or four. And then I recruited, seven or eight myself. And all of a sudden, I had 18. You have those 18 reps, guess how many came back? Not all 18. There was like 10 that came back. Those 10 turned into 28. Those 28 turned into 50. 50 turned into 100, and here we are today. And I'm so grateful for all the people who have stuck it out with me, who have worked hard with me over the years, who have helped me grow. And I hope and pray that I've been able to help each of you grow as well. And I've done my best. And that's what means the most to me is I want to show up and work hard every day. I want to do what I said I would do. I want to add value for those who I promised that I would work hard for. And I'm always going to do that. I'm always going to be bought in. I'm always going to show up. That's what it takes to grow. That's what it takes to build. That's what it takes to lead. Takes consistency. And so, if you didn't have the best recruiting year ever, learn from it. That's not uncommon in your first year. But I can guarantee that you learned a lot as a team leader, as a recruiter, as someone who brought out your buddies. You learned a lot. And so build off of those lessons and do a better job next year. And certainly there's going to be kinks and there's going to be roadblocks and there's going to be obstacles. Again, those never go away. I'm 12 years into this job, and I talked about this last week, and I'm sure I'll talk about it more. Most days at some point, I have like some pretty crippling anxiety over some kind of problem because it's hard. Okay. And you deal with a lot, especially as a leader, you deal with a lot. And sometimes you don't feel seen. Sometimes you don't feel heard. Sometimes you don't know if it's worth it, but you get a little bit better at it. Mark said, McKenna actually just shared this quote, and I really liked it. You never get away from failure. You just get better at failing forward. And that like really hits home. And I think that applies, I mean, even your first summer. Like, guys, you're gonna have rejection down to your last day on the doors, a lot of rejection. And you never get away from the rejection. Maybe your closing ratio improves slightly and you're closing one in, maybe you start at 1 in 50 and then you get to 1 in 30. And, if you get ridiculously good at the job, you might get to 1 in 10. But no matter what, the rejection's at least 90%, probably more than that. If we're completely honest, it's probably, 95% and 97%. And some of you, it's 98%. It's a lot of rejection. You never get away from it, but you do get better at failing forward. You do get better at just those little improvements. And that continues over time and it compounds. And when you mix it in with some of the other stuff, recruiting and real estate and everything else, you can have everything that you want in life. Everything. I mean that. Um, okay, I've talked a lot about stats and shout outs. I've talked about real estate. I've talked a little bit about the future and growth and leadership and things like that. Now, I want to give some advice kind of centered around, and I've talked a little bit about this, but I want to give some advice centered around the next couple weeks. Okay, the next couple weeks of June, going into July, looking forward to the next 2.5 or hopefully 3.5 months of the summer. I've said this all along, and we've hit on it in other podcasts. We've talked about the inches we need, they're everywhere. The 3 decisions you make: feel good, feel bad, build up, tear down, win or lose. We've talked about habits and consistency and the tortoise and the hare, and consistency being incredibly rare and intensity being kind of common. Okay. And you guys, I'm sure you're starting to see that. You're probably seeing it within yourself. You're probably seeing it within the team. You're like, man, it's really hard to show up every day. And when you look at your weeks, it's like, man, I had a good day here, bad day, good day, bad day, bad day, bad day, bad day, good day, good day. Like it's so hard to stay consistent. And I want to remind everyone, okay, this is another saying that I've utilized over the last 12 years, and it's incredibly true. This is like a stoic, the Greeks themselves probably wrote this down. Andrew has been and Ryan have been sharing a lot of the gladiator games, and they're part of the partnership is doing the gladiator games, and it looks like such a cool thing, and it's like Greek god gladiator mythology themed. Andrew shared a post today talking about the effect of latency and how he used the example of an ice cube. And an ice cube, at 26 degrees is it's a solid ice cube. At 27 degrees, solid ice cube. 28 degrees, same. 29, nothing happened. 30, nothing happened. 31, it still looks the exact same. But the second you get to 32 degrees and a little bit above that, the ice cube starts to melt. And the opposite of that example that people always use, there's a famous quote about the steam engine. Okay, and it says, at 211 degrees, it's just really hot water. At 212 degrees, water turns to steam, and steam could boil, and steam is boil, and steam comes from boiling water, and steam can power a locomotive. And obviously, that's a giant, hundreds of thousands of pounds of steel. And the principle there is really, really powerful. Okay, it takes discipline, it takes consistent effort, it takes showing up even when the results aren't perfect. It takes an emphasis and a focus on habits. Okay, motivation always dies. If you rely on motivation, you will quit at 211 degrees. If you rely on motivation, you will never see the ice cube melt. Okay, because motivation doesn't last. Some days it's there and often it's not. It's a fleeting emotion, it's a fleeting, exciting thing, but no one has motivation forever. You can't do this job 100 days in a row because of motivation. You can't do this job 12 years in a row because of motivation, because it goes away. Some days I think all of us get really excited and you think about the new truck you want to buy and the trip you want to go on, and you think about investing in real estate, and it's like, oh yeah, I got to show up. But to be honest, guys, that always, always fails. Okay, you never keep your motivation for very long. Interesting guy that I've enjoyed following on social media is Marlon Scott. He's the number one rep in the company on service revenue. Had a few cancels, so I think he's number 2 or 3 on active revenue. But the principle that he teaches is just incredible. He's knocked 150 days in a row. Marlon knocked on every holiday. He knocked on Mother's Day. He knocked on Father's Day. He knocked on Easter. In LDS community, Mormonville, Boise, Idaho, he knocked on Easter and he sold accounts. He's knocked 150 plus days in a row. And Marlon is not the most talented sales rep. Okay. He's just not. He's okay. He's good, but he's a golden door rep because of his effort and his ability to focus on habits. He says, if you want to make change in your life, focus on your habits, like just show up and work. A lot of us overcomplicate it. We're like, oh, I'm not doing very well. Oh, my closing ratio went down. Oh, this market is so competitive. Oh, I'm annoyed with this, that, or the other. No, just work. Just show up and knock the doors. Okay? Have a habit and don't renegotiate with yourself. I knock my first door every day at 10 a.m. or earlier. I knock my last door every day at 8:45 p.m. or later, whatever it is. Okay? I knock my last door at this time. At lunch, I eat my lunch in this amount of time and I'm back on the doors by 4:15 or whatever it is. Okay? Just have those habits. Have that consistency. I talked to a sales rep last week who unfortunately quit. And he was doing well, man, and it broke my heart. Okay? Broke my heart. And the reason that he quit was because he couldn't bring himself to make the decision to knock every day. He's like, every day I get out to area and I just don't want to do the job. And I'm like, yeah, welcome to the job. Like, it is hard. And that's one of the things that you learn. You learn to be intrinsically motivated because I'm not there to kick you out of the car door. And sometimes your team leader's not, or your driving partner, you have to drop him off first. You don't have Tosh, you don't have Donnie riding along with you and micromanaging and watching you over. You have to make the decision to get out and actually knock. Okay. And that's what it just crippled him. He's like, I can't make the decision to knock every day. I just can't do it. I'm like, well, what happens when you actually get out and knock? He's like, well, it's not that bad at that point. Like, I get sales most days. It's not that bad. I don't mind talking to people. I actually kind of enjoy it. It's like, it's cool. It's an interesting experience. But that crippling part of like, oh, I have to make the decision. No, just don't make the decision. The decision's made. I show up to area, I park my car, I hop out, and I immediately walk to the first door. Done. Okay. Habits matter. Discipline matters. Guys, those of you who excel over the next 2.5 or 3.5 months will be those who lean into that principle. Trust me on this. Do not renegotiate with yourself. Do not try and rely on motivation. That's what's so funny. We run all these, tournaments and incentives, and you're going to see those continue to ramp up. And it's so fun. The Aptiv Cup gets more fun. We've got the Rookie Rampage coming up. We've got the Ant tournament coming up. We're going to have more partnership tournaments and incentives. I run the backpack and the hat incentives, and everything's honky dory and fun and cool. But the reality is, guys, if you would just show up and knock and pound the doors every day, you would make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It is very realistic that you can make $1,000 a day if you just focus on the habit. Some of you can make $2,000 a day, and that's criminal. That's unbelievable. It's mind-blowing. Okay. And I wish there was a way to inject you guys with the reality and the confidence and the maturity of how real that is and how impactful it is and how meaningful it is. I wish that I could give you, and that's part of why I do these podcasts, is because I want to share 12 years of experience into a 30 or 45-minute podcast and just inject that, like, it's real and it matters and it compounds and it snowballs. If you guys can be disciplined and have habits right now, 10 years from now, you can do anything that you want. 5 years from now, you can do most anything that you want. I'm going to the NBA Finals game on Thursday with Chase and Titus and Jeff Hatch. And I'm like over the moon about it because I'm taking some of the leaders who really deserve it, who've worked really hard, and guys who are excited about basketball, and we all decided we're going to go together. And that's only possible because of the discipline and the hard work that each of us put in months and years ago. Like, it takes a lot. It takes energy. It takes effort. It takes discipline. You can have everything that you want, but you can't have it all right now. Those things are not possible in the future for each of you. Identify something that you're like, that'd be crazy. Maybe it's buying your dream car. Maybe, like Mike Ellis, I've talked about him a lot in this podcast, buying the GTR. I know that was really meaningful and impactful for him. Colby Markowski closed on that 12-unit deal in Blackfoot that was just a home run. I know that was really meaningful and impactful for him. Adam buying the duplex. Connor Geisler bought a fourplex. John Martin with the fourplex and the sixplex. Alex Moises wants to buy my Lambo. Sayer and Tim have talked about investing and buying a supercar. Aiden with his McLaren. Like, none of those things are possible without discipline and sacrifice in the past. You guys are in that time period right now. So lean into discipline, lean into consistency, lean into habits. Simply do not renegotiate with yourself. Okay? I try and live my life by that principle, and I am far from perfect. I wake up often and I'm like, oh, dude, I do not want to do it. I get a phone call at 10 p.m. and I'm like, oh, I do not want to do it. I have 5 pitch critiques to do, and I'm like, man, I've done 20 pitch critiques this week. I do not want to do it. But I make the commitment and I don't renegotiate with myself. I say it's going to be okay. If I just start, if I just get out of the car door, it's not that bad. And I remind myself of that. And the people who can do that are the ones that make it. They're built different. And they'll make it in this job, they'll make it in this industry, and they'll make millions of dollars no matter what they do in life. I really firmly believe that. So develop that skill set, develop that core strength, develop that ability today, now, work on it. And maybe you're not perfect. I think of a guy like X, and X, when X started out, he was rough around the edges, and he'll own that. He'll admit that. And he's still far from perfect. He has good days and bad days and good weeks and bad weeks. And, it's hard, but I'm proud of him because I've seen him honestly working on developing that skill set. I look at Alex Moises. Alex and I had a conversation in the off season. We were on a little blitz together in Fort Worth selling some pest control. And Alex was like, "Oh, I'm a better sales rep than that other sales rep." And I was like, "Hey, didn't that other sales rep beat you?" And he goes, "Yeah, but my closing ratio was way better, and I didn't work that hard. I took off a lot of days." And I'm like, "What? Doesn't matter. They beat you. Who made more money?" He goes, well, they did. I'm like, yeah, they won. They're the better sales rep. It doesn't matter in what amount of time you did it in if you didn't work very hard. The only metric that matters is net earnings. Okay. That's the one that matters. Hey, they out earned you. They were a better sales rep. They put on more service revenue than you. They retained more revenue than you. They were a better sales rep. And Alex leaned into that principle and he's worked harder than anyone else this summer, more days than anyone else, and he's winning. Okay. He's the number one rep right now because he's been the most disciplined. He's been the most diligent. He hasn't renegotiated with himself. You can look at his stats. Average last knock last week was 9:20 p.m. I was on the phone with Jack last week talking about a fourplex. Jack's hopefully getting into a fourplex, which is so exciting. And Jack and Alex were in area. Jack had just finished knocking, and Alex was on 2 go backs at 9:30 p.m. It takes what it takes. Adam Tillman, top rep last week. Okay, 9:24 p.m. average last knock. Takes what it takes. Ryan, the top rookie right now. Average first knock 9:50 a.m. Average last knock, I don't remember what it was, but it was nearly 9 o'clock. Takes what it takes. Takes discipline, takes consistency, takes sacrifice, takes showing up. Okay, my advice to all of you, have the big why, have the motivation. I want to get into real estate. I want to get ahead financially. I want to be able to travel by my car, whatever it is. But focus on consistency and habits. I will knock my first door at this time every single day. I will knock my last door at this time every single day. Should you focus on other things? For sure. Continue to train, continue to get better, continue to practice. But the most important thing that you can do is consistently work hard. If you simply consistently work hard, you're going to improve, you're going to get results. That's what this job's all about. That's being elite. That's how you win. And it's not a competition against anyone else in the world. It's a competition against you. Accolades do not matter very much. It's fun to win the award. It's fun to win, hey, I won a Golden Door. I won the Aptiv Cup. I was top rookie this week. I was top rookie today. Accolades are super cool and they're exciting and flashy and we all enjoy them and we appreciate them. It feels good to feel recognized. But the accolade isn't really what matters. It's the ability for you to buy the house with your spouse. It's the ability for you to take your parents to Hawaii. Ryan took my family to Hawaii a couple years ago. Only time my parents have ever been to Hawaii. That mattered. That was cool. It's the ability to provide for your family in the time of need. My good friend Chandler, who was able to hang up the knocking shoes and retire and live the good life and be there for his family when that's what life called to him. And it's because of the discipline and sacrifice that he had made in this job. That matters. Okay, the accolades, super cool. Don't really matter at the end of the day. What matters is your ability to give yourself everything that you want in life. It's your ability to take care of the people who need to be taken care of. The ability to do those things when the time calls. You got to set up food storage now. You got to gather the nuts. We're all little squirrels. We got to gather the nuts. We're bears getting ready for the hibernation. You got to prep now. You got to have the habits now. You got to have the discipline now. I've rambled a long time. This has been a long podcast. I hope you guys have taken something away from it. I hope that you guys know how much I care. I really mean it. I would love to be a bug in every single one of your ears. And obviously that's not possible. This is the closest thing I can do to doing that. But I hope you guys know how much I care. I care about every single sales rep that we have. All the guys in Chicago, in South Bend, in Tulsa, in Fort Worth, in St. Louis, and Columbus, and Nashville, and Memphis, and Fort Lauderdale, and everywhere else. Houston, Sugar Land, San Antonio. Man, we have guys everywhere. San Diego, Kansas City. We got teams everywhere. It's a lot, but I care about every single one of you. You're all part of a big team. You're all part of an org. You're all part of a group that's trying to do something special together. Let's work hard. Let's be disciplined. Let's buy lots of real estate. Let's get wealthy. Let's live our dream life. Let's have some fun. I love you guys. I believe in you guys. I'm there for you guys. So get after it. Godspeed. And thanks for tuning in.